This is Face the Nation, broadcasting live from the CNN IBN headquarters in New Delhi with Sagarika Ghosh.
क्या ऐसे लोगों को फांसी की सजा नहीं होनी चाहिए? इससे ज्यादा वो क्या करे? रात के 9:30 बजे एक पुरुष मित्र के साथ चलती है।
I am not going to allow this incident to become another statistic.
Political leadership has to act, and men at every level of society have to act to say no to violence against women.
This has to stop. I'm scared to go out. Yes, I'm scared to walk alone. This cannot happen every day.
Good evening. We are continuing our campaign, Stop This Shame. How shattered all of us are tonight. How shocked we are at a horrific crime in which a 23-year-old medical student was gang raped, beaten, slashed with blades and thrown out of a bus. The victim fights for her life in hospital. Police claim they have arrested 4 culprits. It's a shocking attack. The doctors treating the victim have said they have never seen injuries like this before. We know you are just as outraged as we are. Talk to us. Join the debate here on Face the Nation. Tweet us at IBN Live with hashtag Stop This Shame. Joining us tonight, Madhu Mehra, women's rights activist and lawyer, someone campaigning long and campaigning hard for justice for women and for protesting against atrocities. But is anything happening? Nirmala Samant, member of the National Commission for Women. Mridu Kamal, Citizens Collective Against Sexual Assault, and Archana Dwivedi, Citizens Collective Against Sexual Assault. We're also hoping to be joined by Khushbu Sundar, actor and DMK member. And also joining us on the phone line, Rebecca John, Supreme Court advocate. Before we start our discussion, let's listen to Tejinder Luthra, Joint CP of the Northern Range, to whom I spoke earlier in the day.
The broad framework of this debate has to be why there is animalistic instinct in our society, why there is barbarian behavior in society. Of course, women's safety is a very, very important issue, and we are leaving no stone unturned. Our people are gender sensitized, and we know it is not the fault of the victim. And we have all our empathies with the victim, and we help victim as much as possible, not only making her lodge her complaint. We help her in medical treatment. We call the NGOs. We have specially created rape crisis intervention centers. This kind of crime is a continuous challenge, and I want to assure that we'll put in greater efforts so that this kind of incidents never happen in Delhi.
Tejinder Luthra, the Delhi police, talking to us. Let's turn it over now to our panelists. Archana Dwivedi, you know, what is horrifying about this attack is the sheer violence of it. What has been done to this woman? She has been literally almost reduced to a corpse.
Exactly.
And even if she lives, God knows with what injuries she will live with. You were out there, you were protesting today, you were taking your voice to the people who matter. But do you have a sense of helplessness that however much you protest, there is simply no political will?
Exactly, and there is no system to address this situation, and this situation is just not a standalone case. We have such cases in the past, and just because sheer violence of it is now making us so angry, but we also know that this has been happening for a long time, and it will continue unless we take some strict measures to make this city livable for women also.
Strict measures, and as you were saying in the protest when you were marching today, saying that in fact there's no fear, the brazenness of it, that they can do this, throw a woman, naked woman out of a bus and then think that they will not be caught.
Yeah, I think, so basically I also spoke then and now as well that when people are saying that we'll take care of the victim, we have to think that you have to prevent people from becoming victim of violence. I mean, at the first stage we have to prevent people women from becoming victims of violence, and that's why we're basically talking everywhere, and we went on the streets, we protested because we really wanted people to come out and talk about it.
And this is actually really about women who are speaking up. These are the women who are speaking up, these are the women who are coming out, these are the women who are taking public spaces and claiming those spaces. And it is the intolerance of people not accepting such women who are speaking their minds, with women speaking out. And like, it is always, the violence is not really about just the sexual act. It is about the violence to stop that voice.
To stop the voice of the woman. So this is this is an attack on women who are out there.
Exactly.
Khushbu, you're now joining us there from Chennai. You also have been the victim in some ways of a great deal of harassment. You have faced a great deal of persecution in your life. Would you say that this is again a protest, some sort of male backlash against women who are seen out there, who are seen in the public spaces, who are seen being assertive, and this is making traditional society and men in particular insecure, and there's this horrifying violent backlash?
What I went through has nothing to do with what happened to a woman here in Delhi, or what every other woman faces. I think comparatively my case was not even a speck on what is happening today in India. What has happened to this very young kid in Delhi 2 days back, the rape victim, and such a horrendous crime that has been committed on her. I think we definitely need a very, very stringent laws. We need to set an example and say that you cannot continue to sexually assault a woman like this. You cannot treat her as an object of desire.
You cannot treat women who are out on the streets as an object of desire. This is not even desire, in fact, Khushbu. This is just about power and criminality and heinous perversion.
It's criminality. It's when I say desire, you don't treat a woman like an object at all. She is someone who demands and commands respect. She is a woman who gives birth to even these rapists, a woman gives birth to even these criminals. They need to understand that.
Let me put that to Rebecca John, I believe, who is joining us on the phone line, Supreme Court advocate. Rebecca John, you've heard the parliamentarians speak today about death penalty. You've heard about fast-tracking this particular case. You've heard the politicians speak in very impassioned tones. Does this convince you that they will do something, that there is political will, or do you feel that this is some sort of a well-rehearsed charade, that they're all playing lip service to what they think they should say, and tomorrow they'll go back to their lives and all this will be forgotten?
Well, I won't be so harsh. I'm sure some of them were very moved by what happened. But, you know, I don't give in to this kind of argument that you should have fast-track courts and you should have a day-to-day trial in cases like this. Because, remember, this is one of millions of rape cases that take place throughout our country. And are you going to fast-track each one of those cases? I mean, typically, yes, all our cases should end within a time frame, but they don't. So I think when people separate one case from the other and say special treatment should be given to one case, it makes me nervous, because what we should do is talk of some kind of systemic change. The judicial system needs to change. The prosecution system needs to change. Investigating system needs to change. The police need to investigate the crime in the best possible manner, in a scientific and intelligent manner, put forward the best evidence before a court of law. The court must then go through that evidence in a reasonably fast trial, and then it should come to a conclusion. We cannot isolate cases, no matter how heinous the crime is or how terribly upset we are about the facts of the case. The fact of the matter is that in our country, hundreds of women are raped every day. Hundreds and thousands of rape cases are languishing in our courts, and it takes forever for them to be completed. What does it speak of our system? Can we isolate one case and say fast-track this case and then be happy and go back and think we've done our job? I don't think so.
We can't just fast-track this one case. Madhu Mehra, you've been following crimes against women for decades now. What do you feel? Do you feel that there is hope, or do you feel that in fact this is again going to fall into the pit of political apathy and nothing really is going to come of this? No systemic change. The change in the criminal justice system that Rebecca John is pleading for is not going to happen.
I don't see that, because in the last few months we've had big cases hit headlines in New Delhi. We've had national attention to some cases, for example the Guwahati case. The maximum punishment the law gave was 2 years, and the photographer is out, he was acquitted. So I think we tend to respond in a situation very earnestly to tide over that situation, and there are no changes that we are seeing. In terms of prevention, we've been talking about prevention for a long time. Are there plainclothes policemen at the bus stands? There aren't any. Women live with terrorism on a daily basis. Curfew is a reality for women. Do we have public announcements at airports, railway stations, bus stands about not abusing women, about alerting a particular desk if something is seen or heard? We don't. So we really haven't made the effort to make the environment safer for women. Now in this particular case, the White Line bus had black windows. We have a law in this city against tinted glasses, yet rapes take place in moving cars, in buses with tinted glasses. What new do they need to implement that very rule that is already on the book? So I don't see a change on the cards. I see shock and horror. I see outrage. All of us gather around when a case like this happens, and then we go back. We don't follow up on what happened on the previous case, and I think that is extremely tragic. We do need systemic change, as Rebecca has pointed out. But do we see the political will for that? I'm afraid I don't see much evidence.
You don't see the political will.
I don't see much evidence.
There's a lot of Twitter reactions coming in. Salim Sheikh is tweeting to us, shocking to see alarming rise in crime against women in a state which has a woman chief minister since the last 10 years. Does she care? Alka Dhupka is writing to us, government's failing, society mindset too responsible. We need gender sensitive education which can hopefully change the scene. Donna is writing, when we are not sincere in getting speedy justice to the victims, how can we justify our outrage now? Srikantaya is writing, the Delhi gang rape is really a national shame. The rape laws are not powerful enough to severely punish the guilty. There's not powerful enough law, nor implementation of the law. The criminal justice system is apathetic. The politicians are making sound and fury, but are they really committed? Now, Nirmala Samant of the National Commission for Women, has the National Commission for Women really lived up to the need of the hour? Because many would say the National Commission for Women is acting like an arm of the government, is far too establishmentarian. The National Commission for Women has failed to do what, say, the National Human Rights Commission has done, or the National Commission for SC/STs have done. They've really taken up causes and campaigns. Has the National Commission of Women been sufficiently proactive in raising awareness on women's issues?
Definitely. National Commission for Women has taken a lot of causes, and we have done whatever best we can do. There are so moto cases which are now, it was spoken about the case of Assam.
No, but in this particular case, the National Human Rights Commission has sent a notice to the Delhi government. The National Human Rights Commission has sent a notice to the Delhi police. It's not the National Commission for Women.
What I meant to say, we have done it. In this particular case, today, we means the commission chairperson met the victim. The first Somoto case was taken up by the commission yesterday. Today and yesterday I wrote letter to Sheila Dikshit ji for taking out the license of, but it was a coincidence that we wrote and the transport minister also took away the license, and the commission has been doing number of, I mean, there is so much of work, but every time we cannot say that this work we have done, that work we have done. We have certain limitations, we have certain problems strengthening.
But you're looking at a situation, Nirmala Samant, where there is war against women. There is actually war against women who are out on the streets, who are going about their daily business, who are going about earning a living, because a number of women have to work at night. Exactly. They have to go out at night. They're not there having a joyride. And in this situation, has the National Commission for Women become a captain in the war?
I'll tell you. This matter, if we talk about this particular case, let me first of all say that case is so horrible. It is so, I mean, we have no words. We all have become speechless to look at this horrific attack on this woman, and what is the condition. She is in ICU, she is on a ventilator. So lesser said the better, lesser said the better. That is a horrific condition of this woman, and only talking and we will do this and that, and so many actions and reactions are coming. Everybody has a viewpoint and all. Then this is not a time to debate who is right, what is and all that. What I mean to say that this particular case establishes that the safety of a woman has been a major cause of concern, but at the same time you have to see in a longer term that if you have to go to the root of the matter, why it is
rooting in the, let me get the young women to talk about this. Archana, is the root of the problem really the image of the modern woman in society today? The fact is that whenever you look at rape, whenever you look at molestation, it's always the woman who's subjected to the ugly. Badi
Exactly.
Always the woman who's subject to the morality test. What was she wearing? What was she doing?
No,
what was
what
she
I mean
doing?
to say, patriarchal society.
Is that the problem?
No,
Is that the
please.
problem?
No,
Let me just hear from Archana.
That's not what I mean to
not the
say.
problem.
It's a male domination society. It's
That's
a secondary
exactly it.
status of a woman, and they think that woman means she should
But
be
that's
attacked.
yeah, but that's
and that
exactly
is
what
not
I
the
want to
wrong.
say.
That is a wrong.
As a woman,
yes,
there is a wrong attitude, but is that the prevalent
But that
attitude?
wrong attitude does not only prevail amongst the common people. That's the
Among
attitude
the
that
police.
Exactly.
Among the police,
Exactly.
among the
That is the
corrupt.
what you wear,
when-
why you
when-
out.
when you-
Even we have heard
when we
from
were
the
discussing
CM,
about-
we have heard from even the Chief Minister of Delhi, we have heard from the police commissioners of Delhi at various times, and these are the lines they have taken, why they had to be out at such a such time, why were they wearing such a such clothes. So is it really about clothes? Is it really about the time? Are we saying that rapes happen at a particular time in a particular dress? It is not true. All of us know that it happens in all kinds of clothes and it happens at all kinds of time. But particularly night is definitely more vulnerable because then it's
Right.
so difficult. But then what are we doing, like as Madhu was saying, unless we put those mechanisms in place to make sure that the security is provided and there's accountability.
And there simply is no awareness
No
and
awareness.
sensitization. The Police Commissioner of Delhi today, Madhu Mehra, said that he's having Jan Sampark programs. He's talking to people, but he's talking to people in Defence Colony. He's talking to people in Greater Kailash. What about the people, for example, the profile of people who committed this particular crime? They come from a level of society to which the Police Commissioner has probably not gone.
There is complete misogyny, and we see that again and again. And I'm sorry to say, but if this case hadn't turned out to be as brutal as it has, we would have been hearing the same comments about what was she doing outside. And this is something that we've gotten used to hearing, blame the victim. And I think one of the most troubling things is that we have today a bill placed in the Lok Sabha which is attempting to define what was called rape. It is now called sexual assault.
Sexual assault bill.
In gender neutral terms, as in a woman can be a perpetrator of rape theoretically against a man. The victim is gender neutral, the perpetrator is gender neutral. Anybody could be the offender, anybody could be the victim. In a society where we know how frequently women are targeted. And so I think that is
And yet
really
that bill
scary.
is still hanging
That-
fire, it has still
that-
not been passed.
That is the kind of misogyny that we are seeing in the system. It's a backlash that is not just happening at the society
We have
level.
politicians who call women 500 crore girlfriends.
Absolutely.
We have politicians who say
Absolutely.
first wives are old hat. So we clearly have a political culture which is deeply anti-woman in the way it
And the
thinks.
laws that are coming into place are creating more and more ways of punishing women for even raising their voice.
That's a
what
chilling reminder. Let's actually listen to actor Divya Datta, who recently faced a situation of sexual violence and is talking to us about it.
I think they just do it sometimes. Like for my case, it was like, okay, let's touch a star, let's touch an actor and see how it feels. It's kind of a little pleasure they take in being a guy, being a man, and just, I would say these are kind of pervert kind of pleasures they have. And if there's a strict law which keeps them away from doing all these things, which they know that they can't just get away with doing something like this, however mild or however serious it is, I think that would really be really nice.
We are continuing with our CNN IBN campaign, Stop This Shame. Horrific gang rape of a medical student in Delhi. Why are governments failing to curb crimes against women is a question we're asking. Vibha is a student from Jawaharlal Nehru University. She has spoken to us on this. Let's listen to her.
I want to ask the police guys that is your duty to issue diktats to women on how to take care of themselves, or is it your duty to pull up culprits and ensure punishment?
Let's also listen to actor and activist Om Puri. He too spoke to us.
Something must be done, and for that you have to set an example. All these guys who have done this, they should be hanged, and it should be done soon, within a month.
The guys should be hanged.
I would disagree. Hanging and severe punishment is not the answer.
solution.
We need effective responses for every case. If people knew there were consequences, this would not happen. These people have not committed
Right.
a crime.
And you were saying that the sexual assault bill which is in parliament is showing that this is a misogynist political culture. That bill has to go. You do not want that
Exactly.
bill. Why don't you want that law?
Because it's a gender neutral bill. It says that even women are theoretically
The commission had also submitted a gender specific bill, but then we also learned, we also disagree that this bill, acid attack and sexual assault on women, have to be gender specific.
So the gender assault, the sexual assault bill that is pending in parliament is at the moment a very bad law. It is
aggressive law, and we all protest against it, and we don't want this to be passed in the form that it is.
And
now.
secondly, what the people are debating, that there should be a death penalty and all that, I don't know what kind of argument, but if whatever laws are here, there should be stringent punishment, there should be fast track court, there should be maximum conviction, the trial should be finished within the time, and what is important is that if the deterrent punishment
is if Rebecca John is still joining us on the phone line. If Rebecca John is still joining us on the phone line, Rebecca John, do you want to just add fast tracking, deterrent punishment, exemplary punishment is what our panelists are saying. Exemplary punishment.
Actually, can I put this in perspective? Gang rape punishable with a minimum of 10 years and a maximum of life imprisonment. So it's not the punishment we are having a problem with.
Exactly.
What we are having a problem with is
implementation.
Let me just tell you what is happening in Delhi. In Delhi, we have 26 special courts dealing with corruption matters. I am not saying that corruption or corruption-related cases are not relevant. But what it does is put so much pressure on an already stretched system, because all the other sessions judges who deal with rape and murder cases have about 30 to 40 cases a day, and they're unable to put their energies into completing any one of those cases. I don't understand why in our list of priorities, corruption becomes the flavor of the day, and matters of life and death like murder and rape are put low down on the ladder. There is something seriously wrong with the administration of justice. I hope the judiciary takes note of this. I hope the administration takes note of this. There is a member from the National Commission of Women on your panel. She should write a complaint to the Delhi High Court Chief Justice. We do not need 26 judges for corruption matters, but we certainly need more judges dealing with rape cases and murder cases.
That's a very, very good point. In fact, I hope the viewers listening into this program, and if any member of the judiciary is listening into the program, the high emphasis on corruption cases, the high emphasis on graft cases, not enough courts even to listen to the real issues and the real pain that people feel, such as the rape cases. Khushbu, you wanted to come in.
I just wanted to
I want to come in and say, why do we even want to say a sexual assault? A rape is a rapist. A rape is a rape. A rapist is a rapist. That's it. We don't want to say that it was a sexual assault, or it was just an eve-teasing, or it was just a molestation. A rape is a rape. It's the most heinous crime a man can ever commit on a woman. What laws are we talking about? A grandfather rapes his granddaughter and he is given a jail just for 10 years and 50,000 fine. Is this the law we are talking about? If convicted, then 10 years of jail or lifetime. Why there's or lifetime? Why there's lifetime imprisonment or death penalty? Why cannot be like that? Okay. And we are talking about corruption cases taking over the courts, because every Tom, Dick and Harry is busy filing corruption cases. Where do the courts have the time to look into these cases? Where is the court who is looking into the problems of a woman? Which man is filing a case in the court saying that this woman was raped, and I want the people who have raped this woman, the people who have committed this crime, to be hanged till death? Who is filing a case for a woman? What are the men doing? Every person wants to file a case against somebody or the other, to be seen and to be heard, and to say that, okay, I have filed the charges against so and so against corruption. Why no man comes forward and says that I have filed a case because I want justice for this woman, I want the culprits to be hanged, I want the culprits to be punished very severely, and I want an example to be set that no man will even think of raping or touching a woman? Why nobody files a case of such things in the court?
Why is nobody filing that kind of a case? Why is a man not coming forward to file that kind of case? Let's take a short break at this point and come back to our panelists after a very short break. back. We are continuing with our campaign Stop This Shame on a day when a horrific gang rape of a woman has been protested about by many women's groups across the country and in Delhi. 4 have been arrested, including the bus driver, for the brutal gang rape of a Delhi medical student who's fighting for her life. Police say they'll ask for maximum punishment. In other headlines, Ireland is to legalize abortions when a mother's life is at risk. This is following the public outcry over the death of the Indian dentist Savita Halappanavar, who died after being refused an abortion. Lok Sabha passes the banking amendment bill, giving more teeth to the RBI. The land bill is deferred, though, to the next session. The Shiv Sena has relented, removed the temporary structure at Shivaji Park. A new location for Bal Thackeray's memorial is to be decided.
I really think that Dhoni can be the man to take India forward if he has the energy.
Rahul Dravid bats for the beleaguered India skipper, says if Dhoni shows the enthusiasm for the job, he should stay on as captain. Let's carry on now with our discussion on the Delhi gang rape, which has got so many outraged and horrified. This has really been a shocker to the system. Attack after attack on women. This attack, though, possibly the most gruesome in recent times. You had a point that you were making about the police.
Basically what Rebecca was saying, I just wanted to add a point to that when we were talking to the police commissioner, to the DCP, and the ACP, basically, what is happening on this case, then they said that it did not happen on the roads and it happened on the flyover, and the flyover does not come under, I mean, we're not sure under whose jurisdiction that does it come.
The flyover is not under our jurisdiction.
So that is absolute crap. I don't know, I mean, what to talk about it. And if you really want a solution from us, then please come together and take the decision. I mean, I don't know whoever's jurisdiction it is, but we want justice. And that is it.
How a common citizen is bothered about whose jurisdiction what comes in. It is your responsibility to arrest the crime, and you have to do it. You can't say that which area is under my purview and which area is somebody's.
This is what I
in the middle of all this. And this is the answer given by one ACP in a protest where 500 people are shouting and saying what is happening, and somebody coming and telling it's not part of my purview.
But what is the National Commission of Women, Nirmala? What are you doing to sensitize the police?
I knew that.
Surely one of your tasks should be to sensitize the police.
One of our tasks is to sensitize the police. That's why I say we strongly condemn, and it is very disappointing to see the negative role of the police at the down the line. If you go to IG, you go to listen, give me some time. Give me some time.
What are you actually doing to change those attitudes?
Give me some time to speak. If you go to lodging an FIR, if you go to the down the line, SHOs, the senior inspector, junior police officers, constable, there is such a negative attitude, and there is so much of corruption, there is so much of male domination. They refuse to accept the complaint, and everybody doesn't have approach to ACPs, DCPs, IGs, DIGs.
Even the SCPs are like that. Sensitive, and down the line people are not sensitive.
No,
I don't think it's about
the SCPs and DCPs are equally sensitive.
Exactly.
As you were saying, Madhu Behra, it's very difficult even to lodge an FIR.
Exactly, that is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. What are you no? What do you mean no?
No, I'm saying
they are not taking FIR. I'm telling you, this is a census which is available to us.
We just
I'm speaking from the record.
How
can you deny everything? There is so much of insensitivity at the bottom line. There is no insensitivity. Sensitivity is more for the upward. But how many people can go to commissioner and make the effort to lodge the FIR? But everybody goes to commissioner. No, the people don't go to commissioner. People go to the local police station, and local police station refuse to. They refuse to lodge the complaint, and that is why the commission.
There's been a demand for a long time now of putting in place standard operating procedures that would also take care of jurisdiction issues. A crime has happened, respond, figure out your jurisdiction later.
Exactly.
But standard operating procedures are not there yet. They do not exist. So,
but what is the answer? Is it more boots on the ground? Is it more PCR vans? Is it more women police? More women police personnel? More
I don't think themselves they are passing comments. Then what do you say about that?
The PCR vans themselves are passing lewd comments.
They are passing lewd comments,
and we cannot have technology doing the policing for us. You know, this talk about CCTVs that we keep hearing. Yes, they have a particular
But
role to play.
what about the
They
offences
give you-
taking place in rural areas,
Yeah,
Dalits and
correct.
Adivasis and minorities?
Absolutely.
We are talking about all urban things.
yeah,
We
yeah,
are not paying any
absolutely.
attention to what is happening at the ground
Absolutely.
level. But when the police station is far off 40-50 kilometers, what that woman will do?
Rebecca John, let me just, if you're still with us, does it come down to that at the end of the day? The attitudes of the police, the fact that the police simply does not perhaps take rape seriously, the police does not investigate rape seriously, the police is not sympathetic to a rape victim, it's difficult to lodge an FIR even when you're a victim of rape. Does it really come down at the end of the day to the attitude and the failures of the police?
Partly, yes. I would definitely say the police has a huge responsibility in these cases, and their investigative skills, the manner in which they go about treating a victim, leaves much to be desired. I was watching television today, and I was noticing that the police had brought in forensic experts to examine the bus in question. Now, this is a case where there's overwhelming evidence, and I didn't understand why forensic experts had to be brought into the bus. Whereas there are several cases.
You have an eyewitness.
You have an eyewitness. There are several cases where the rape takes place within the confines of a room where there is no eyewitness. It is only the statement of the girl, and whether that has to be believed or not is a job left to the court. Now, in those cases, if the police brought in forensic experts, DNA tests, etc., it doesn't do it. So it's obvious that the police lacks the skills, the sensitivity to deal with cases like this, and to get an FIR registered in our country is a Herculean task. It's a Herculean task.
I'm sorry, I would disagree. I feel that they do not lack the skills. I feel that they really want to show away now. It's enough of it. They just want to shrug it off because it's not the first time this is happening. We've been talking about this since Madhu,
When the police commissioner, as I mentioned before, when the police commissioner was addressing the press today, he said that don't make me speak about rape, because if I speak about rapes, I'll say something politically incorrect.
So I really don't agree to this.
If I say something more about rape, I will have to bring in the fact that the women play a contributory role, that the role of the women in the rape was the underlying subtext almost of what the police commissioner was there trying to hint at.
Add one thing, that let's not just say rape. I think let's talk about the sexual harassment of all kinds. Rape is the extreme form of
teasing, which we call.
Assault of all kinds. Unless we have zero tolerance for all kinds of assault and harassment, we cannot deal with this
problem. It has to be zero tolerance for all kinds of assault and harassment. In fact, Khushbu, the more rapes that are happening, attack after attack is taking place on women, heinous attacks are taking place on women, yet all we hear from establishment voices is dress codes. You know, we hear the university saying you should not wear jeans. We hear principals saying you should not wear short tops. We hear colleges in Kerala saying you should wear aprons above your sari. We hear politicians saying women should not dress in a particular way. We have an Andhra police officer who said that rapes are rising because of fashionably provocative clothes that women are wearing. Is that the attitude that at the end of the day women are up against? That establishment voices, people in authority are still putting it down to the way women are dressing, to the sexuality of women.
Whoever says it's the woman who's the provocative person when it comes to rape or sexual harassment of any kind is a pervert-minded person, because he cannot think straight about a woman. All he has on his mind 24/7 running is how else can you think of raping a woman mentally, physically, tormenting her or harassing her sexually in every possible manner. I think these men need to get a mind straight. They need to get worked here, up in the head, and say women are to be respected. Women are equal to men, and women is known as Shakti. So today all women are sitting together and discussing, Sagarika, but I want to know how long this discussion will go on, till there's another horrific incident, till there's another rape, till there's another gang rape, till there's another woman who's sexually assaulted or harassed, till there's another woman, another young girl who's molested on the street. Till then we are going to discuss this.
We are continuing to discuss.
To get it straight. No, you need to get these men straight in their head that women cannot be treated like this, and because men are not going to come forward and help us, these men are not going to think straight, because these men will think that, okay, I'm wearing a sari, I'm wearing a chudidar, I'm wearing a burqa, I'm wearing jeans, I'm wearing shorts, or I wear a swimsuit. You think of raping a woman, you will do it. A 61-year-old grandmother gets raped in Mumbai by a young man. So where is it going?
Let's take a short break at this point.
Mentality.
It's the mentality. Let's take a short break at this point. Rape is a crime like murder. When someone is murdered, you do not ask what that murder victim was wearing. In the same way, when someone is raped, you do not ask whether the victim was wearing the right clothes. That is a completely perverse mentality. Let's take a short break and get final comments from our panelists.
Every rape is a slur on a woman. That is what hurts me. And every rape is followed by another rape, it doesn't stop. एक दिन की सनसनी की खबर हो जाती है बस हमारी बेटियां सेफ नहीं है. That is what hurts me. That's what hurts me. What animals are we bringing up in this world?
Welcome back to our continuing campaign, Stop This Shame. Why is it that city administrations are failing to provide for the safety of women? Attack after attack is taking place against women. Why is it that in every big city of India, even in the rural areas, in all small towns as well, women in India are simply not safe? How on earth can we call ourselves a developing or even a 21st century civilized nation? You were saying that in fact this mentality really percolates all the way down as far to the lowest level of the police force, and that is really the problem, as you were saying.
Yeah, that is a problem. And the main thing is that they basically say that Indian tradition, Bharatiya Sanskriti,
you were making a very good point in the protest, that it's against Indian culture to wear a mini skirt, but it's not against Indian culture to rape a woman.
Rape a woman and tear off the clothes, then that's not your Sanskriti.
That's supposed to be Indian culture, but wearing a mini skirt is not Indian culture.
Men tearing off clothes is Indian culture, but us wearing anything that we want is not Indian culture. So we really need to question that. I mean, who are we talking to? What are we talking to?
What are we talking about when we're talking about this Indian culture? Nirmala ji, I just want to tell you the remit of the National Commission of Women. Don't you think that you must now send out public messages to actually change mindsets, change mentalities, because you really need a social reform campaign in our society?
You're right, and we have been doing a very massive campaign. We have been giving legal awareness programs. We have been giving a lot of NGOs the funding part of it. We are going for consultation, because everywhere, wherever we can't reach, we give our programs to the stakeholders, and we see to it that stakeholders raises the voice. That is a voice of NCW only. NCW alone cannot work. NCW requires a lot of hands to work, and for that we have been doing a lot of work for that. As you rightly said that this campaign, but what I mean to say, you go for campaign, you have given campaign, that does it mean that the rapist will go? Does it mean that the campaign will go? What is important is that to sensitize the look at the sensitize and look at the reforms, change the laws, bring more stringent punishment.
Look at the laws to the school shooting tragedy. You know, the president of America himself said his heart is broken.
Exactly.
Is that where the message has to be said at the
absolutely,
right
unless the higher authorities,
right from the very top, that message has to go out.
Leaders on their own.
Only women politicians talk.
Only when a bomb goes off, they talk. We do not have the highest political leaders commenting on something like this. When we talk about
why should Rahul Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi speak about crimes against women? Why should only women politicians talk about crimes?
Sonia Gandhi went to Haryana. Sonia ji went to Haryana when it happened, and she had taken active part of. And you can't say that she has not spoken on this particular. That means
I want to bring in Khushbu here because I know she feels strongly about this. Do you feel that unfortunately women's issues and crimes against women are pigeonholed into this women's ghetto, into this Zanana Darbar, and they're simply not seen as democratic issues facing a democratic nation? The men don't want to join in, powerful people don't want to join in. It's seen as a sort of Zenana club where women talk about these issues about themselves. Does that have to change? Because it's not a woman's issue, this is an issue of democracy, it's an issue of citizenship. Everybody, all stakeholders must get involved in these crimes that are taking place against women.
It's a responsibility of every citizen, irrespective of male or female, to support your fellow human being from being raped so brutally. I mean, we are talking about only women here. On the panel, we have only women. I'm saying, whereas you have Jaya Bachchan saying that she's going to protest, you have Sushma Swaraj who's saying that you need a death penalty for the rapists in the parliament. She has been talking about it. All the women have been talking about it. I am asking, where are the top political leaders, the today's generation netas in the parliament? Why are they not speaking about women? Why are they not standing up and saying that this is the woman of my country? She is my mother, she is my sister, she is related to me, and I'm responsible for safeguarding her. Why are the men? Why the Prime Minister is not speaking? Why is Rahul Gandhi not speaking? Why is Narendra Modi is not speaking? Why anybody is not speaking about a woman? Why is only a woman is talking about supporting a woman? I want the men folk to stand up and say, we will not let another woman being raped in our country. Let the men take a stand. You say it's a male dominated world. You say you want men at the top positions. You want the men at the top places. Yet when it comes to a problem to a woman, all the men scoot. They hide behind the palus. They want to go behind and hide. No, we are busy doing our own good things. Come on, face the light. This is India, and India belongs to all of us.
We have to end the show. There is a very, very good point being made by Khushbu there. Why are the top male politicians not speaking about this attack on a citizen of India? Thank you very much indeed. Khushbu, Madhu Mehra, Nirmala Samant, Mridu Kamal, Archana Dwivedi, Rebecca John, who joined us on the phone line. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. We're going to continue with this campaign. We're going to continue with the CNN campaign of Stop This Shame. But before we leave you, here's a point for you to think about. Think about this. Are women safe in India? Are our daughters safe in India? The reality is that they are not. Let's make India safe for women. We need the police, we need the laws, and we need an urgent change in mentality where a woman outdoors at night is not seen as prey for sexual violence. We need all this now, because otherwise tomorrow there will be another brutal rape in society and we'll be helpless, and that rape may happen to either us or to one of our loved ones. The final result of our SMS and online poll, Delhi gang rape, our government's failing to curb crimes against women. 95 are saying yes.